Hey YouTube, um, I'm Stephen Martin, the Stephen Martin, and I'm just gonna talk today about some things, but you're gonna have to give me a minute because I'm fueling right now and I'm gonna have to disconnect that, and then I'm just gonna drive. Got a good long drive ahead of myself. Give me plenty of time to say everything I got to say about what I got to say. I really enjoy being able to use YouTube's resources to actually create these videos, because I couldn't do it if I just wanted to make this a video and not a live stream. I would run out of space on my camera, which is my phone. So doing this, I'm kind of circumventing the system. I'm able to make a video and it posts and then it's there. I really would love to learn how to take them off YouTube somehow, to rip with them. If anyone knows how to do that, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. Just let me know. Alright, I'm done. I'll be back in a second. Alright. So basically, I wanted to make a video and talk about some things I've been thinking about. You know, the cryptocurrency market is it's been going through a bear market pretty much all of 2018 after the beginning. And it kind of arguably could be said that it's crashed here recently. And a lot of people are freaking out. Like, some people think it's the end of cryptocurrencies. And they think it's going to keep dropping. And it very well could. But for me, I know it's not the end, and I'll tell you why. It's as simple as use case. Now, I was watching a video about why it was somebody that's known in the community as, like, I forget his name, but he's kind of like the guy who goes around, he's like the naysayer of cryptocurrency. And whenever there's like a conference or something, he's always there to disparage it and to say why it's going to fail and why it's just a big bunch of baloney, a big bubble. And so he's kind of reveling in the fact that he believes that the bubble has burst and the cryptocurrency is on its death throes right now, right? And I'm not saying he's wrong. As far as like all the coins out there, most of them are crap. Most of the things that they're being used for are stupid. But it does have a use case, and his main argument was, you know, these things have been around for 10 years and nobody's using them. And his argument was that nobody in the mainstream has adopted blockchain technology and is using it for anything, really. And he's not necessarily wrong, because in this last year, my whole thing is that I've tried to find use cases for these things. Like, I've tried to figure out, like, how you can use them, what you can use them for, and I found a lot of use cases, and that's why I think they're here to stay. Yeah, they might crash and burn and fizzle and get out of the public eye, but it's kind of like anything that becomes popular. If it becomes popular enough, it will at least always have a cult following, and cryptocurrency is like that. So even if it crashes and burns and 3 years go by and the market, all it does is go down and down and down, and Bitcoin's worth I don't know, $100, it doesn't really matter. At least not to someone like me, because I don't have any money in it. And I'm not really looking at it as money. Like, that's not why I even was intrigued by it. You see, when I found out about cryptocurrency, I found out about it from this YouTuber who's no longer allowed on the platform, named David Seaman. And he was a writer, and he would write for, you know, some mainstream places up until the election, and he said some things about Hillary Clinton in an article, and basically he got fired, and he had invested quite a significant amount of money in Ethereum. And Ethereum, when he got in when it was real cheap, and Ethereum went really viral, I guess is the only way to say it, and its price just started going up and up and up and up. And its use case and why people thought it was so great just started spreading all over the place. Everybody was hearing about Ethereum. And David Seaman was talking about Ethereum. And I started listening to it because I didn't really even know about Bitcoin. This was last year, like, probably not last year. Well, yeah, last year, 2017. Probably about the beginning of fall, I started hearing about it and researching it. And he started talking about why Ethereum was a superior currency because it allowed smart contracts, right? Which basically Bitcoin is set up to where you can mine it, and how you mine it is you have computer electricity that runs a computer that's designated to mining Bitcoin, or at least a part of it, and that's how it's basically the electricity is what, and the computer together are what mine Bitcoin. And anybody out there can mine Bitcoin, so that's kind of what makes it, it's kind of like gold. Like, if you know where gold is, you can go mine it, right? Well, but if it costs too much to mine it, then it's not going to be worth mining the gold, because it's going to cost too much to actually get to the gold. And Bitcoin's similar in that way as well, because there are places now where the electricity that it costs to actually mine Bitcoin costs more than actually you can get from mining Bitcoin. So right now Bitcoin's being mined mostly in places like China and places where there's not a high cost to the electricity, and they can actually make some sort of a profit, or at least stay afloat. But you see, there's been these things that have kind of came about since Bitcoin started, where people have found ways to get more of the more bang for their buck, so to speak. And some of these things are, you know, allocating more computer power, allocating more electricity, and therefore you're able to solve the blocks, is what they're called, on the blockchain, and you're rewarded with the Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a reward for mining, basically. So if you're able to get enough computation power and you're able to mine enough Bitcoin, the resources you put into getting that computation power going, it's going to pay for itself, because your Bitcoin is worth something. It took you energy to get it, and now that you got it, it's worth something. And there's only so many Bitcoin that can be mined before it's gone. So it's like gold. There's only so much gold on this planet before it's gone, right? Or anything. Say we found some asteroid out in space and it had gold on it. Well, there's only so much gold on that asteroid before it's gone. So it's a finite resource, and that's kind of what Bitcoin was based on, because it was put forth as a way to replace fiat currencies, which are government-issued currencies, because the main problem with fiat currencies are that they can be printed, first off, by the issuers. So and what it does is it devalues the currency over time. That's why a dollar ain't worth hardly anything. Like, things are worth, that's why inflation is so crazy in a lot of these countries, and even in America you could argue that inflation's out of control. And even though they've been trying to suppress it and stuff, it's highly manipulative by the governments, and they use practices that will end up biting us in the ass in the long run, is what it comes down to. And Bitcoin, because we used to back our currency in our treasury with gold. Like, there was actually something physical for all these notes that we're carrying around, or coins or whatever. There was actually a physical representation of it. But we moved away from the gold standard, which is that we actually have the gold to back up the currency that we're putting out in the public, and we just started printing money, basically, and it makes the price of your money go down. And this is all controlled by banks, not even our government. So a bank basically says what's going to happen in our economy. It's not even our government. Our government is a huge, major part of the problem, but Bitcoin was kind of espoused as a possible solution, because if people could use their own currency and they didn't have banks in between, the banks that are issuing the money and doing all the different things to manipulate it, the Federal Reserve and whatnot, their power would be kaput as far as what they could do to hold on to their infrastructures that they've set up to keep power. And people could basically interact with each other without a middleman. They would no longer have to trust, because that's why the middleman exists. The banks are looked at as a place where we can trust our money to be kept safe, right? Even though it's all really an illusion. But that they do have that trust there. The public trusts them. It could get turned off overnight if the public just decided they didn't trust banks for all the legitimate reasons why they shouldn't. And then there would be no trust, and there would be a problem. But we still do trust banks. I don't see that going anywhere. But the thing is, we don't have to trust banks. We have a choice now because we have Bitcoin. And it's as simple as, and it's not just Bitcoin, there's other ones now, but it's as simple as somebody wants to do something with you and you don't know who they are, and say they're going to offer a service. Well, they can deliver on their service, and you can send them some Bitcoin, and the transaction's over. Right? It's kind of like, it's like digital cash, It's a way to transact with people, and that's just one of the uses for it. And the thing is when you take out the middleman, the bank, and it's just people sending money between each other's wallets, handing back and forth a coin. It's just a different representation of money. We no longer need a middleman, and all the stuff that's associated with that is put in jeopardy, because there's huge power dynamics in play that make it to where we're reliant on not moving away from our fiat, right? And so that's why it's been 10 years and not a lot of people are using Bitcoin. Not a lot of people own Bitcoin. But the technology still exists, and it still can be used in its use cases. And as long as that's the reality, that I can buy a house with Bitcoin, which I can, if I had enough Bitcoin, I can use my Bitcoin. As long as I can use my Bitcoin, and I want to be an individual, and that's the reason why I'm choosing Bitcoin instead of fiat to interact with, there's your use case. The use case is people that don't want to deal with the government, people that don't want to deal with banks, people that would rather have what they do on the internet be able to be transparent on a ledger that they can be held accountable to. because you see, the thing is, lots of people say that Bitcoin can be used by nefarious people out there that want to do evil things, like traffic people and sell drugs and pirate materials and all sorts of things. And they're not necessarily wrong, but so can any currency. Every single currency can be used that way. But actually, Bitcoin's kind of at a, I guess, a detriment, because if they do choose to do these things, they can be found out because there's a record. Every Bitcoin wallet transaction is recorded. So if you're sending your money to a wallet, then it's going to be seen. So all that has to happen is, maybe you don't know whose wallet you're sending to, and that could like be a problem, I guess. But the thing is, it's more transparent than a lot of other things. And in a way, I mean, there's things out there called privacy coins, where they try to mask the wallets, like you can't see who's sending who, what, where, and when. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I'm not really sure how I feel about it 100%, but there's a use case for that too, you know? But Bitcoin, it's not a private thing. Like, if you're transacting with it, people can see what you're doing. And I think that's kind of good, because, you know, if, just say for some reason, humanity decided they were over fiat currencies, and they went to Bitcoin, and everybody was on Bitcoin. Well, somebody makes an allegation about how somebody is spending their money on something that is not good. Well, it would most likely be easily researched, and you'd find out if that's true or not pretty easily. And that's just one thing, but I'm kind of getting off topic. My whole point is, as long as there's a use case for cryptocurrencies, they're going to be used, even if that use case is not really even money. Like, for me, it's not money. It's not money. Like, I guess it could be. It's just, it hasn't been because it's been too hard for it to be. And I'll explain that in a minute. For me, it's been a way to explore, looking for the use cases that I want, which is censorship resistance. Really, that, to me, that's the only thing that matters in this whole thing, is that because we're heading down a really bad path with censorship, and not a lot of people can see it, and it's already happening to us. And with engineering, you know, social engineering using social media and propaganda, and it's being done, and it's really, really detrimental to humanity and our future. And for me, the best way to combat that is to find platforms that cannot be manipulated in that way. They can't be socially engineered. And I'm not even saying they really exist yet, but they will. They will, because that's the use case. It's that simple. That's my use case, and I know I'm not alone in that. There are so many of us that just don't want to be a part of social engineering. We're resistant to things like YouTube and what Google's doing to YouTube with, you know, hiding, shadow banning, hiding things, making people get deplatformed if they say the wrong things. And what that does is it hides certain narratives while letting others get exposure. Not only that, it dumbs down your population, because then everybody goes around thinking that the best way to get eyes on them is to do something outrageous that will go viral. And so everybody's just going around trying to be viral, instead of putting out real information. Because in the past, there are a lot of YouTube channels that got big real fast just because they were saying stuff that was true. Like, they were reporting on things that you know, the mainstream was not reporting on. But now those channels are being targeted. And so the incentive for actually doing something constructive on YouTube, as far as using it to proliferate information that's valuable and useful, it's under attack, big time. and we just sit back and like accept that. But I don't accept it. It's wrong. And so right now I love the fact that I'm using YouTube's resources to put out a message against them, against Google, because I know it's costing them money to host my video. You know, I'm not having to pay for any of it. All I have to do is set up a camera and go live. And then they got to take all that information that's recorded and host it, right? They don't really have a choice. They can hide it, they can suppress it, but at the same time, they don't really have to do something like that with someone like me because I'm not big. And I'm probably not a threat of becoming big because I'm not appealing to the eyes or the senses or any of that, which is cool. Like, I'm cool with that, but I'm not a threat. But at the same time, I just like to use their energy to document what I'm saying. So 10 years from now, I can go back, if YouTube and Google hasn't totally collapsed, watch these videos and have a chuckle at how right I am. And I don't mean to be arrogant, but I know I'm right, because even if cryptocurrency dies, there will be a cult following of people like me that use it so that they're not being censored. Because that's my number one use case that I've found this year, is that I can put stuff on a blockchain and I don't have to worry about it disappearing. Now that is true to some extent, because a lot of these blockchains out there, they can disappear, and then what? Like, if nobody's using them, all my effort that I put on these blockchain is gone. You know, it's gone, just like MySpace. Like, it's just the information can't be accessed. I don't really know enough about it to know if that's the case, but I have a very good feeling it is. So I'm still out there exploring, trying to find blockchains that I don't think are gonna collapse in on themselves or have a high likelihood of not doing that. And they're few and far between, really, to tell you the truth. I mean, case in point, Steam and Steemit. I've been on that all year long. I've put a ton of poetry on it. I've also been backing up all my poetry that I've put on it. I put music on it, but I've also been backing up all my music that I put on it. Put video on it. Also been backing up all my video that I put on it. So for me, it's kind of like I want to use the platforms because of what they're supposed to be, but at the same time, I realize that Steam could die Steam probably won't, but Steemit could very easily. But then something else will come up, you know, and who knows? Maybe Steemit will die, Steam won't. Some other platform will come up that uses Steam, and then they will be able to find out the access to all the stuff that's saved in the blockchain, and it's still alive. Who knows how this could go down in the future? But it's fun to work with, and the use case is there. And in the meantime, while these things are still alive, in the present, they can't be censored. In the present on Google and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Patreon and Apple and iTunes and Spotify, you can be censored if you say the wrong thing, or you can be shadow banned. They can use a computer to make sure you don't get a voice, because they realized a part of what they did that is screwing them is they let technology become too accessible to the masses, and certain people from the masses got a hold of it and became too popular for them to actually do something about it and keep them from rising. But now they can keep us from rising because they've developed the technology enough that if somebody gets on their radar that's saying something they don't want to be proliferated out into the universe, they've got an equation to tell them that. And they've got a solution to it without even having to lift a finger. It's all done inside of an algorithm. So, for me, YouTube is just a way to vent, a way to document my thoughts. As soon as I figure out how to take these videos off YouTube, I'm going to be very happy. like I'll be using their resource to live stream. Then I'll take the videos off and put them somewhere else where they can't be basically taken off, because they'll be on a blockchain. I won't be able to be censored, and I'll be happy. That's what I want. Not only that, I want to be able to do it in a way that I can show other people what I'm doing, and get lots of people on board. Like, that's my goal, is to get a lot of people on board with realizing what's the hell's going on, how bad it really is, where we're at, and that there really is a solution. Like, we really do have the power. They screwed up when they let too many of us become too popular. Because I'm not the only one talking about this stuff at all. There are people with millions of subscribers talking about this stuff. I'm just some little chirping cricket that won't stop chirping. And, I'm fine to be that cricket. It's fun. I'm having a lot of fun being that cricket. So that's why I like YouTube, because they're willing to take a hit, because, I've been hearing that YouTube's taking a loss, and it's really just Google's, thing that they're doing, that they're okay with taking a loss on, because they have other plans for it, which you will see, and it's probably going to kill it, because who's going to want to watch it after it becomes something that's not controlled by us? It's controlled by something that censors us, which it's already pretty much there. Like, people are going to stop using it. The only reason why people still use it is because it's got a monopoly on being able to do this. Live stream to an audience where you can actually, where there's a bunch of people. Really, that's all it is. Because you can go do live streaming lots of different places. The only thing is there's not a lot of people. And, that's going to change. Because people don't like to be censored. People don't like the fact that if they start talking about some shooting or something somewhere, they're going to be demonetized. When in fact they're putting their heart and their soul into what they have to say, other people find value in it and are watching it, and just because the narrative is that the advertisers don't find that kind of content advertiser friendly, I don't really buy that, because they were doing it for so long before it became a problem. And the reason why it became a problem isn't why they're telling you it's a problem. They're telling you it's because people don't find it advertiser friendly. I think that's bullshit. I think that was proliferated out there, and it might be fact now. Now that anybody that advertises on a video that somebody says something completely off color, they can be blown up in the mainstream media for being an advertiser on that video. Yeah, that's legit. That's a reason why advertisers would find an algorithm or tell YouTube that they need to employ an algorithm and make their selection of videos a lot safer, so that they don't run the risk of being put on something where people are going Heil Hitler or whatever. But at the same time, the people that are being advertised to, a lot of them could care less. It's just the mainstream media hyping the situation, and that's the reason why they're hyping it, is because they know they've lost control over us. That's what it comes down to. We're at a point where we're talking too much. We're communicating with each other way too much. And they want us polarized. They want us to take sides on every single issue under the moon, so that when we do talk to each other, all we want to do is push our agenda and our opinions, and we don't listen to what anybody else says. And that way they keep us from being able to come together under something that is common sense for us to come together under, which is censorship. We should all be telling YouTube, we don't care. If you want to manipulate what you put on if you have these terms of service or whatnot, and you want to manipulate what you put on your platforms, because they're just kind of doing it with things like Alex Jones, people that everybody hates, right? I can make a case in point why Alex Jones should not have been deplatformed from all these places he was deplatformed. But it doesn't matter because nobody will listen to my case because everybody hates Alex Jones. And I don't particularly like Alex Jones, but I'll tell you what, he did not say anything that should get him to not be able to have his speech heard on a monopolistic social media platform, to be basically unpersoned. Because as soon as he's unpersoned, and they've unpersoned a lot of other people, hell, this video started out by me talking to you about a person that got me into cryptocurrency that has since then been unpersoned. All right? So this is happening. This is a problem. And David Seaman, he was unpersoned because he started talking about David Hogg, right? And David Hogg was a miner, right? And so he got on the radar. I mean, he'd been saying all sorts of outrageous things. But, you know, who cares if you get on a social media platform and you start saying outrageous things? You know? Who cares? Really? It's in the power of anyone that comes across anything to turn it off. And for me, that's what it comes down to. And it's within the power of anyone who has children to keep their eyes off the things that they can put their eyes on. It's not incumbent on the creator of whatever's being said to have to worry about any of that. You could get on YouTube and start saying all sorts of racist things, and it's incumbent on the people that watch you to deal with it how they need to deal with it. It's not incumbent on YouTube to get involved, because they don't, and they do it on a case-by-case basis, because I've seen people of every color saying racist things against all sorts of other colors, and it's not being dealt with the same way, and that's on purpose, and I know it's on purpose. And I'm not saying one group is right and the other is wrong. I think all racism is stupid. I think that basically, if you are racist, I think you should actually give it a chance to. Here's the way that I best can describe a good way to get over racism. If you're young, especially if you're young, if you're old, maybe you're so entrenched in your ways, but this might work for you as well. But you kind of have to be single for it to work, and that is go find a lover of a different race, and just specifically like of a different race. Like, lots of people say that's racist to like actually base who you find a lover of. But you know what? Look, we have so many options out there, and I did it. I found black lovers. I've found Mexican lovers. I've never found an Asian lover, but I'm married now, so that it's not going to happen. But that's a great way to get over racism, because you'll find out that it doesn't matter real quick, at a like primal level. Like, it will demolish all your subconscious ties to your beliefs that racism is legit and whatever. And like, there are lots of reasons why people can espouse why they want to only interact in that way with people of their own race, and I respect that. I just personally myself find it to be stupid, straight up stupid, and that's because I've had the interactions that I needed to have to find out for myself. Like, I went out there and found out for myself, and I'm glad I did. Because it's opened my eyes to lots of things, and you know, it was a wonderful, beautiful experience to be with people of other races. And if I was single, I'd do it again and again and again and again. But getting off track, what I'm trying to say is, everybody should be able to say whatever they want on YouTube, no matter what they say. They could say, I love Hitler, and if I were back in his day, I would try to find him and be a groupie, and I'd get his attention, and I would do everything in my power to become his lover, and then I'd go off with him and kill as many Jews as I want. You should be able to say that on YouTube. I know what I just said is not good, right? I understand that. And not a lot of people can handle what I'm saying. There are people in my life that right now, if I said that to them, they would freak the fuck out, all right? That's why I like YouTube, because I can say it on YouTube, and I can fully be myself. I don't have somebody right in front of me to tell me I'm wrong when I know I'm not. And that's kind of powerful. And it makes me feel powerful to be able to say what I really believe. And it just be out there, and me to have no control over what the repercussions of it are. All right? What I believe is not that. I don't love Hitler, or would never want to kill anyone, especially Jewish people, because I think they're, and I'm going to be stereotyping, brilliant people that contribute a great deal to this world, and their IQs reflect that. First off, as far as a race, they have like some of the highest IQs once you do get past all the stigmas around IQ testing and you start looking at it. Hell, Jewish people, I want as many of them on this planet as we can get. And I should be able to say that too, you know? And I want as many black people on the planet as we can get as well. And I don't think just because you test the population of people and find out their IQs on average are not like what other people's IQs are is a legit reason to stigmatize them. Because I don't think that really matters. As a matter of fact, I think that as more and more we interact with each other over time, the less and less of a problem any of that will be. Because our genes will take care of it, all right? Our genes, I mean, the more and more our genes intermingle, the more and more they're going to become the same. And I think that's a good thing. Lots of other people don't, including lots of Jewish people, lots of black people. And but I do. I think it's awesome. I think that I'm looking way into the future, all right? Way into the future. And the way that I see it, way into the future, is that we're going to have so many genes inside of us. We're probably, who knows, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy once you start getting all these genes and time goes by and like they all start expressing themselves, and like we're going to start understanding all sorts of things about each other. It's going to be amazing. And I think everybody's freaked out about the future, and they think that it's like this beast narrative, this 666 thing that's just propaganda, in my opinion. I believe the book of Revelation is the biggest piece of propaganda on this earth right now. And I think it's being used to our detriment. And it's programming people to believe that the future isn't bright, when in fact it really is. That's my own personal opinion, my own personal belief. But from my own personal opinion and my own personal belief, I think anybody should be able to say anything on YouTube or any other social media, it has media in the word, platform, without the fear of being taken off. Now, that's not the fear of a bunch of people coming underneath their videos and saying, you're a fucking racist, you're a hypocrite, you're a whatever, you're a number of things, you're a detestable human being, using words, which is what I'm doing right now, using words to explain myself. And that's all it really should be. It should die right there. I mean, why expend more energy on it than that? Let it be what it is. Call people out. If I see somebody being racist on something, I'm going to be telling them that I think they're stupid, and I probably won't call them a racist or all this and that. Or maybe I will. I don't know. It depends on exactly what they say. I'll probably say something more intellectual than that. I'll point out to them where their argument for whatever they're saying falls flat on its face, because I put a lot of thought into these things, and I'll find a good reason why I think their argument falls flat on its face, and I'll let everybody else call them a racist. It's just people get so caught up in their emotions, myself included. I'm a big believer in astrology because I've been studying it for so long, and I've seen, from my point of view and my experience on this earth, I've seen it manifest into reality time and time again. in my personal life and in the lives of others that I've been observing. You see, the thing is that I like about Facebook, it allows me to see when everybody's birthday is and to say happy birthday to everyone. And in doing that, and going, anyone that's a friend of mine, when I get like a thing, unless like I'm real busy and I just miss out on that day, I will say happy birthday. Because what that does is it plants a seed in my subconscious mind that this person is this sign, and it even puts them like where in the sign, because in every sign you have 30 degrees, right? So, and all 30 of those degrees flavor you where you are in that sign. And then there's a lot more flavor that comes from all the other planets that are placed, and exactly when you're born during the day. So all these things come into play, but in being able to observe it with the tool like Facebook, to me that's my biggest utility of Facebook, is being able to observe everyone's astrology that is in my life, that's my family. Then I can watch their lives, I can watch how they interact with people, I can become more scientific about my belief in astrology, and I'm not just looking for things that bolster my argument that astrology is real. I also look at where it falls flat on its face. I have to come at it in a real way, because if I don't, I'm going to find out sooner or later anyways that I was full of shit. Alright? That's just how life's always worked for me. I've believed in a lot of things that have broken down and smacked me in my face later, that I've had to come to terms with the fact that I no longer believe it because it's not in my best interest to do so. And that's just life, right? So there's a use case for cryptocurrencies, and it is not being able to censor anything. Because that's what it comes down to, and I think Bitcoin is really the king of this. Now, right now, because I think it's the least likely to go away. Like, I don't think because it has the biggest cult following, it's got the longest existence, it's got a paper that backs its philosophy, and a lot of its philosophy is based on decentralization, which in a way is making stuff censorship resistant. Because if the power is not in control of an entity like Google to say, we are taking you off of our YouTube platform, you're no longer able to be on it anymore. If the power that no longer exists to even do that because it's decentralized, because the power is dispersed over a network of people that are mining from all over the world, and yeah, they can come together and conglomerate themselves and get more power that way, but even that, it's so dispersed because there's so many of them that, yeah, some of them are more powerful than others, but really all they're doing is mining information. They have no control over what's done with that information. They just mine it, and once the block is mined, it's cemented into reality. It can't be altered. They move on to the next block, and it's stuck there, all right? So for me, I'm really on the lookout for something that utilizes Bitcoin for censorship resistance, and I found something that I believe utilizes Ethereum. It's called Cent, but it's got some things in it that can cause it some issues. As far as my use case, which is total censorship proof, it's not censorship proof. It's still censorship resistant though, because on Cent you can flag stuff, and if it's flagged enough, the people that are in control of Cent, because it's not decentralized, it's just based on a cryptocurrency, but at least the people that are running it right now, you can kind of look into their philosophy behind the whole thing, and you can kind of see that their philosophy is about promoting freedom of speech and giving people voices and things like this. So as long as that stays the actual reality, I'm comfortable using it, you know? Not only that, I can go do things other places, just publish it on Cent, and it's there, right? And I can make cryptocurrency from doing it. I'm going to do some stuff on how to get on Cent. I found Steemit. Steemit is similar in a lot of ways. It's more like Facebook. Sent's more like Twitter, in a way, because Sent, you just get on there and you can type out anything, and it looks a certain way that Twitter, you know, you tweet stuff out, it looks a lot different than what you put on Facebook. It's not really Sent's not really a blogging platform, it's a communication platform. Whereas Steemit is kind of like a blogging platform. And I know Facebook isn't really a blogging platform, but in a way it kind of is, because you could set it up and use it as that. And people do use it as a major part of what they're doing online. So they've all got their own use cases, but on Steemit you can't really be censored, like to where your content is gone. But and this is one of the reasons why I still really like Steemit, even though it's going through some struggles right now, and I don't really know what the outcome's going to be, whether or not it's going to make it through this thing. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed, because if it does, it's going to be that much stronger. But it can be, your stuff can be flagged, right? And it can be flagged to the point where people have to click another button to be able to view it, because it will have a message that says, this content is not viewable because it's been flagged. But then right next to it's a little icon that you can hit that says, like, make visible or something like that. And you can view it, right? So they really can't keep you from viewing it. But the problem with it is the people that have the most money on there and the most investment into the platform have the most power, and it was set up that way, and that's what it is. There's no getting away from that. That's what it is. So it really, for me, is not a good place to end. It's a good place to be, like, for what it is. It's a fun place to be. I think it would be a good place. It has potential for a lot of cool things. It has not realized its potential. Right now, it's being used by people just to make money and to promote their own interests. And anybody that's on there trying to have a voice, man, they've got an uphill battle unless the right people start listening to what they've got to say and valuing what they've got to say. But the average Joe like me, I can go on there and make pennies for posting my poetry, which is cool. I can dig that. I can dig making pennies posting my poetry. So for me, it's a use case. I've turned it into my blog for posting my fun stuff that requires writing, which is poetry, some music. Like, I use it to participate in a music competition that I've kind of got away from here the last couple weeks. I may return to it, I may not. I'm not really sure how I feel about it right now, because it requires you to post on YouTube to enter it, because it thinks that the actual platforms that are not YouTube are not easy enough to scroll through and look at all the entries in a way that's manageable for them to actually do the contest. They may have a point there, but at the same time, what I've been doing is double posting in the same Steemit post. I'm posting to DTube and YouTube, but I'm getting tired of posting YouTube, like, for anything other than something saying why I hate Google and YouTube. Oh yeah, I hate Google, I hate YouTube, hashtag I hate Google, hashtag I hate YouTube. It's a big reason why I killed Acousticsteveo, is I'm done with proliferating information on Google and YouTube that is not purely going against them until they change their ways, which I don't think will happen. I'm holding out hope, but their values are different than what they have to be in line with my values at a level that I think we may have come to an impasse. So now I'm just going to use them. They're my little way of making videos, that I can make long videos, and they post and host them on their site for free. So they're my freebie thing, and I really, really, really want to learn how to take my videos off of them, like to rip them. And I know there's ways to do it, but I don't know how. So again, in case you missed it in the first part of my video, I'm asking for people to tell me how to do this, because I would love to basically do a long rant type video like this, a long thing where I'm speaking my mind, and be able to take the content and put it somewhere else that I have access to, so it's not all in YouTube's control, and they can't just decide that they're going to take me off their platform. Or if they do, I won't be hurt by it because I'll have all my content somewhere else that can't happen. And I'll have been showing other people how to do it. Like, YouTube's going to take me off because of that. Like, if I can figure out how to rip my videos, that's probably going to be my detriment on this platform. Or maybe my cussing and not, I guess, making my videos 18 and over, because I don't think that cuss words are anything that, well, anybody that's on YouTube should really be screened from hearing. Like, if you're on YouTube, grow a thicker skin or change the channel. There's plenty of other channels to go listen to that don't have cuss words. And if you do want to flag my channel or whatnot, that's your right for whatever, inappropriate obscenity or whatever. I don't care. I really don't. I may have to adjust to it and start adjusting my videos to 18 plus if it becomes a problem. But in the meantime, because I don't believe that. I believe that a 15 or 16-year-old kid with an IQ of 140 is perfectly capable of listening to what I'm saying and getting from it what I'm trying to say. And all the other 15 and 16-year-olds that have IQs of under 100, maybe that will hurt them emotionally, but that will only be because they're being told by other people that they're being hurt emotionally. I'll put it that way. They're programmed a certain way. So, I'm not really worried about it. And, you know, I won't let my kids watch any of my content, not until they're 18, maybe 17 with my older one. I don't know. I'm going to play that by ear. But I don't think he'd want to watch it anyways. He wouldn't be interested in it. So I'm not really worried about it. But that's my job, is to keep content off his eyes. That's my job. It's not YouTube's job. It's not any of the content creator jobs out there. They don't need to worry about it one iota. Say and do anything you want. That's my message. Say and do anything you want. Now, if you start getting nude on camera, as I've done, but you never can see it because I'm in a bathtub, but I'm talking about nudity like that you can see it. I personally don't have a problem with that, personally. But you're going to have a problem with that, because I do think that people, you know, I could go a couple different ways on this. I'm going to be careful with how I say this. I think that because we've programmed our society to think about nudity a certain way, which is just our society, and that's the society that we live in, we kind of have to, for our own good, respect certain societal norms, because there's things that you can do that are so taboo that even though you might not be wrong doing them, people are going to look at you and you're going to be crucified for it. And I think being nude on YouTube would be one of those things, or showing pornography on your channel, things like that. It's because of the taboos, and it's legit. I really don't want 13-year-old people watching, you know, nudity and pornography on YouTube. Personally, I don't want that to happen. But I really don't want 13-year-old people to be watching anything on YouTube, to tell you the truth. Like, not unless it's like some filtered way of watching it that their parents have set up that keep them from seeing all the things that they could see on YouTube. Because, for instance, if you were to type in your YouTube search engine, Anne Rice, Sleeping Beauty, there's going to come up, somebody has put it free on there, right? And all it is basically word pornography. And it's good stuff. I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite things to listen to, is some really good word porn. But a 13-year-old probably shouldn't be listening to it. but it's not nudity, right? And who knows, maybe it won't be there for much longer, but it's on there right now. I just listened to it a couple months ago, so I know it's on there. That's what I'm saying. They pick and they choose what they go up against, and I guess maybe they could say they rely on people to record it and all this and that, but I really don't even think that's the case. I think they're being disingenuous with us all, and for us to really trust them blindly would be stupid. You should never trust something with as much power as Google has blindly, and just say, oh well, they say this is the reason for this, they say this and that. Well, I don't care what they say. I don't care what they say at all. It's not that I don't believe them. It's that I'm not going to trust them to be telling me the truth. There's a difference. Maybe they're telling me the truth. I would have to do a lot of research on different things to find out. But I'm not just going to blindly trust that because they take a stance and put it out in a press release that's the reality of the situation. You know? Because I know there's a lot more that goes into it. But what I'm getting at is, I think anybody should be able to do anything on YouTube, with the exception of nudity, because I think that's where our society breaks down. I think that's where freedom of speech breaks down. And there's people on YouTube that have put nudity on YouTube, their own YouTube, and I'm not going to say who they are because I'm not going to expose them like that. And because somebody might go and try to take my channel down, and I don't think that's cool at all. But there are people that I know on YouTube that are free speech advocates, that one of them's a woman, and she will from time to time, her breasts will be exposed on YouTube. She actually is an activist who walks around without a shirt on quite a bit, like almost all day in California. And the police approach her all the time, but she knows her rights, and she does this. That's what she does. That's like what her biggest thing is that she stands up for her rights. And I really admire her for that. There are a lot of other things that me and her have gotten into it over, so we're not friends. But I do admire her for that, for what she's willing to do. And I think that anybody who takes their freedom of speech to that level, I admire them. I wouldn't do that for my own personal reasons. Like, I have no desire to. Like, I don't have a problem with nudity, but it's going to be for me and my wife, and that's about it. You know, and that's because I'm married, and I'm married to somebody who is traditional and would not be cool with me being any other way. And I'm not really bent that way to that extreme. Like, I do think about things from time to time, and like, what would I do if this and this and this, but that's about as far as it goes. But I do respect people that take freedom of speech to their extremes and really say what they believe in things. I think that is important for humanity. So I think a lady that walks around with her breasts out on her YouTube channel to make a statement is one of the biggest human patriots there is on this earth, if you ask me. So, I'm going to end this video now in just a second. It's been a good documentation of my use case for the blockchain and why I don't think it's going anywhere, because I think there are a lot of people like me that don't want censorship. And they look at the blockchain not just as a money thing, or even as a money thing at all. Like, I don't really look at it like it's a money thing. Maybe sometime I could use it as that use case, and I really have a little bit. Like, I have used it. I've talked about it on this channel, how I've used it. But for me, it's not that. I'm exploring it for finding out where censorship breaks down and can't be done anymore, and exposing that, giving people alternatives, and doing everything in my power to get people to realize why they need to dump these mega conglomerate corporations that are trying to program us and move into technologies that make it impossible or highly improbable. So that's why I'm here. All right, Stephen Martin out.